But Paul, you say, there are so many studies showing the benefits of vegetables in the human diet. Oh yeah? Show me. Because the best meta-analysis that I can find of vegetables is this one: the effects of fruit and vegetable consumption on the inflammatory biomarkers and immune cell populations, a systematic literature review and meta-analysis. Now, notice they say fruit and vegetable consumption. So I will walk you through all of these studies. This is going to be a little bit hard to read, but there are many studies they reviewed here, and they're all right here. All the references will be there. All of them are summarized here. Now, the first set of studies are all about fruit. I started this journey as a carnivore and didn't think that fruit was good for humans. That opinion, that idea changed when I added carbohydrates back to my diet. And now it makes sense to me that fruit is something that we would seek as humans, that would be less toxic for us, less full of problematic chemicals. We know that fruit has less defense chemicals as it ripens. So studies looking at fruit extracts and human health are not what I'm interested in. What we are interested in this discussion is vegetables and their effect on human health. And we must note that epidemiology, observational literature here, is going to be heavily confounded by healthy user bias in the situation. So I'm not terribly convinced by an observational study that says that if you eat more vegetables, that's associated with a better health outcome, because those people are likely to do other good health behaviors. What I want to see are interventional studies with vegetables that result in good health outcomes for humans. Those are not very large in number. So all of you out there saying there are tons of studies showing that vegetables are good for humans, I would ask you to share them with me, because there's not a ton out there, actually. When I went on the doctors, they certainly railroaded me. Travis Stork said, there are thousands of studies. Where, Travis Stork? So let's look at this paper and try and be balanced here. You can see that the majority of the studies in the beginning here are with fruits. So we'll skip over all the fruit studies: pomegranate, grape, okay, et cetera, orange juice, raisins, tomato juice. Here's one garlic tablet equal to 400 milligrams of garlic and 1 milligram of allicin, decreased serum levels of HSCRP. Okay, fair enough. There's a positive trial for garlic, at least in decreasing HSCRP. Does garlic have other issues that I'm worried about? Yes, I can get to those later. Here's a broccoli diet, 250 grams per day. It decreased plasma CRP. TNF-alpha didn't change. IL-6 didn't change. IL-6 receptor didn't change, and adiponectin didn't change. So multiple inflammatory markers did not change. CRP went down somewhat with a broccoli diet. Okay. And granted, this meta-analysis left out multiple studies that I'll show in a moment that show there were no positive effects from adding vegetables to the diet. Here's tomato juice. That's a fruit. We'll skip that one. Here's a fruit juice supplement. Here's one: greater than 5 portions of fruit and vegetables per day, or less than 2 portions of fruit and vegetables per day for 12 weeks. No changes in any biomarkers. Okay, so you're telling me vegetables are unanimously good for humans, or clearly good for humans? Not necessarily. Here's a 6-week diet containing either 810 or 196 grams of vegetables, berries, and apples per day, rich in either linoleic acid or oleic acid. And that's a lot of variables, but all that increased vegetables had no change in plasma levels of ICAM or HSCRP. ICAM is an adhesion molecule. 1, 3, or 6 portions of fruit and vegetables per day for 8 weeks. No changes in levels of HSCRP, DCAM, or VCAM. Again, those are adhesion molecules. So here's an interesting study: extensive dietary and behavioral counseling to achieve dietary goals of 20% total energy from fat, 18 grams per 1,000 kcals of dietary fiber, 5 to 8 servings, depending on total caloric intake of fruit and vegetables, or the control diet in the control groups for 4 years. Decreased serum IL-6 concentrations. Well, yeah, they had a lot of behavioral counseling. How do we know any of that was related to vegetables? You get the idea here. You guys can look at all these studies yourselves, but there is actually an underwhelming amount. You can look at the effects here on the right-hand side. No changes in any inflammatory biomarkers. No changes in any inflammatory biomarkers. Some of them even increase inflammatory biomarkers. So looking at the entirety of the evidence, it's pretty clear that some of the fruit interventions are beneficial. I don't think it's very clear that an exclusively vegetable intervention, many of these are mixed, but even the combined interventions are entirely or always beneficial for humans. So again, I put the reference for the study. It's a meta-analysis looking at all of the studies that were known at the time of the meta-analysis. I think it was fairly recent. And I think that if you look at this, you'll see that, yeah, the fruit studies have some benefits. The vegetable studies don't always help. Some of the vegetable studies show no benefits at all, and I'll show you some of those. So where exactly is the experimental evidence that is so overwhelming that vegetables are good for humans? I don't see it. There may be a trial here or a trial there, and we can match that with another trial that shows there's no benefits. So I think that if you look at the literature, there is no clear signal that vegetables are good for humans. If you guys don't agree with that, I'm open to comments and future debates. I've done them in the past with people, but I think that this is an interesting thing to really look at the literature somewhat objectively regarding.